The Spider-Man Brand New Day is the most, and I mean the most, important movie of the MCU in years. Now, let me explain because, of course, right now there's a lot of hype surrounding the film. So it's so easy to jump into the praise wagon and sing Kumbaya. But honestly, there's something about this film that is so foundational for whatever is that Marvel Studios is planning to do moving forward. But before we get into the details, it's important to acknowledge an important thing. The success of this film didn't happen in a vacuum. It's the result of constant work and an investment from Marvel Studios towards this character from the beginning, from Homecoming, even before Homecoming when we saw Civil War with the introduction of Spider-Man. But how this character has developed over time throughout the different films, the main films, of course, but also the other films that he has been part of, to the point where is it now, where it sits right now. So we have seen this character evolve. We have seen Tom Holland as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker, develop from being a child, a kid that's a normal teenager with normal teenage issues, into a character that is now no longer a Spider Kid, is Spider-Man, a character that has gone through a lot, has lost a lot in the process. And it's a more personal film than any of the other three films that we had before. A lot of people love No Way Home. They think it was a fantastic film. I think it's a great film because it connected, of course, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, connected all these different eras of Spider-Man in recent movies, recent times. But I believe, and I gotta be honest with you, this film goes beyond that because it really cements Tom Holland as the perfect interpretation of Peter Parker. Another thing that I love about this film is the action that it has there. The director has a real crystal vision. And I would say Destin Daniel Cretton, also he did Shang-Chi, which is also another of my favorite films. The action scenes there in that film are amazing. What he learned from there, what he has done with Wonder Man 2 as a TV series, he's bringing all these things into this film. And honestly, I will tell you one thing, this perhaps feels as the most New Yorker film in the Marvel universe, to be honest, and the MCU, but definitely within the Spider-Man universe, is the one that feels the most New Yorker. Because the tone, the camera work, even the filters are used. Another thing that I love about this film is it's comic reference galore. There's so many references, and I mean, from Amazing Fantasy number 15, the cover, all the way to the art of Todd McFarlane, covers, famous covers, of course, from Spectacular Spider-Man, and it goes through the different lore. There's so much here. If you're a big comic book fan, this is perhaps from the one of the most accurate, perhaps, in a way, or one of the ones that praises the source material better than many other. And I would say Fantastic Four recently was amazing too. It has a lot of lore and a lot of imagery. But this one not only encompasses a particular era, like the golden era, the silver age era, it's more about encompassing a whole array of different variations of Spider-Man over time, from the introduction of the character all the way to modern times. Of course, this film is based, it follows One More Day, the story that I personally hate, like many comic book readers. I don't like One More Day. I think it was a bad decision for Marvel when that miniseries was introduced with the story branch out and they try to kill the whole marriage thing. But even though that was a big part of that story, they have respected it and they have kept it, but also they are addressing it in a way that it doesn't feel as disruptive because it opens the door for possibilities, is setting things right for other characters. For example, Hulk, Bruce Banner. I think Bruce Banner has been, unfortunately, due to the evolution of the MCU, has been perhaps one of the characters that has suffered the most. At least the version that we have seen here has been more a mockery in a way at times of the character. In this film, the Hulk feels menacing, particularly when Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, loses control. When he loses control, he becomes this monster that he's always been, and a powerhouse. And there's scary moments. There's action there, scenes where you feel like, man, this is bad. This is definitely bad. But the scenes, of course, again, the director has done a fantastic job in creating those action scenes where he's fighting with Spider-Man, but also Frank Castle's The Punisher intervenes. And it's some of the best, more action-packed scenes that we have seen in the MCU in years. And I mean years. Another aspect that for me is setting a clear foundation is the participation of the Punisher and the Hand in this film. Of course, we have seen these characters being reintroduced in a way, of course, back from the Netflix series into the Marvel series now, of course, through Disney Plus. But honestly, I haven't been able to feel as comfortable with them because of the nature of the stories, as dark as they were through Netflix. And then, of course, Disney hasn't really done it the way that I feel that connected the same way as the originals did. This film is connecting the dots, but it's doing it more organically. Even though there are two different characters and two different sides of the spectrum, of course, the Punisher, as dark as he is, and Spider-Man as hopeful as he is, regardless of that, how different they are, they seem to work together. And to me, it's like, hey, this is something that really works. And it's something that was definitely part of the comics. And don't forget, the Punisher, Frank Castle, was technically introduced through the pages of Spider-Man. So in a way, it's going back to the beginning of the roots of the character. And perhaps one of the most talked about and one of the most important aspects of this film is finally the introduction of the X-Men. Sadie Sink, I love what she does as an actress. I think she's phenomenal. I love her in Stranger Things. And she has a very dark story here, at times very, very dark. But I think being able to see her as powerful as she's a powerhouse. And in some cases, of course, some people are going to point out that her introduction felt a lot like the introduction, of course, of Sentry and the Thunderbolts, and that's true, how powerful she is. But she is a telepath that has immense power that needs to be controlled. Some instances, people are going to point out that there were some dark moments where she did some things that perhaps feel like, okay, she kills some people while she's doing something, maybe trying to do the right thing, but she's not necessarily a hero. But that to me, it's something that I appreciate, because I feel that what Marvel is trying to do is not trying to copy and paste whatever version we already previously had of the X-Men. It's trying to do something new and different. And if you know the comics well, you know that the X-Men are complicated. And Jean Grey is one of them. One of them that, even though has this facade at times of being in control, she's very powerful and very dangerous. But the most important aspect of this film, more than the introduction, of course, of the X-Men, more than the straighten up of Hulk, and of course the connection between the Hand and the Punisher and all of that, and everything that is set for the future, I think what this film does better than any other Spider-Man movie has done until now is that it presents the real Spider-Man. People always see Spider-Man as a kid out of luck, a kid that is always messing up one way or another. Nothing works out for him. And there's even writers and creators have always done that. Even Stan Lee did it. Keep in mind that Stan Lee, even though he wrote for things, it was actually Steve Ditko who created the character. But in any case, that's a matter of that's a subject for something else, for another video. But the point is that people miss the reality who Spider-Man is by just looking at the outcome, rather than the reason why he's always out of luck or why things don't work out in his favor. And the reality is that this film, masterfully, it presents the reason why. It's a matter of choice. Spider-Man is not out of luck just because he's just unlucky, just because he was born, like that. He, in a way, things don't work out his way because of choices. He is capable of great things, but he chooses to do the right thing, even though it can be costly in the end for him. That's something that we can say, because something that I love, the fact is that they go back to the idea that sometimes is missed, is that he is not incapable. He's not stupid. Peter Parker has a very bright mind. He's very capable. He's a scientist with a very strong IQ, very high IQ. And in this film, thankfully, there are times where that is expressed very well. He's talking with Bruce Banner, talking about science and stuff. He's definitely extremely, extremely brilliant. The way he develops his technology, he is very brilliant. And you could think, oh, a kid with this capacity, how brilliant he is. He could be making a ton of money. He could be rich. He could be doing all kind of stuff. But the reality is that Peter Parker chooses, instead of just being successful in that, he chooses to do what's right and use what he has, his superpowers, to save others. And that's the thing about the story of the Spider-Man. It's always this sacrifice. Even the sacrifice that he makes by losing who he loves. You know, the decision that he made to have everyone forget who he was. That was a painful decision to make. And he has to deal with it, the consequences, but he's still fixated in fixing and helping and doing the right thing. Even when his body is falling apart, he still is doing the right thing. He is not eating well. He's not resting well. He's not having time for nothing but to do what's right. And that is the story of Spider-Man, that even though he's capable of great things and he's powerful and strong, he chooses always to do the kind thing. It also deals with the consequences of taking away, and I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler here, the choice of MJ and Ned in the previous film. In trying to protect them, he didn't realize that he took away their free will, the ability for them to decide if they wanted to be part of Spider-Man's life, the Peter Parker's life, even though there was risk in it. And of course, he was in pain. He was suffering the loss of his aunt. So he didn't want that to happen to the people he loved, to his friends. But in doing so, also took away their free will, the ability for them to decide what was the best thing that they wanted to do with their life. So they could walk away, or they could simply stand by his side, regardless of the circumstances or consequences. The important thing about this film, and it gets to the point, and again, I'm giving you spoilers here, where it deals about not carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. How can you relinquish all of that? And how can you realize that in the end of the day, what matters with people who are with you are not there with you because whatever you do or whatever you are capable of doing, they're there because they love you, because they care about you as a person. I think there's something very powerful about this film. And I'm sorry if I give you this spoiler here, but the reality is that this film touches so many levels. It presents a Spider-Man that, again, we all can relate. And I'm telling you, if you come watching this film, you have watched all the different films until now, this is the most personal and sometimes the most raw and the most emotional, all of them, because you can see the weight of carrying this superhero gig, that the cause that has taken and the toll on Peter Parker's life, but at the same time, the hopefulness that he carries with him, that there's always a better day. And in a way, the title Brand New Day really sets a new foundation, a new start for the character, a new chapter, a more mature chapter. What else is to come? It sets a foundation for new things. It is a perfect turnaround. I feel like sometimes for movies, you got 3 movies, a trilogy, and that's it. You're done. There's nothing else. Whatever comes after that, it doesn't have the same strength. But this film, being the case that this is the 4th film, and this is better than the previous 3, that tells you how much this character has to offer. And yeah, there are imperfections, but the film may feel long at times, but it covers everything, and it covers in the right way. So if I have to, in a way, again, it is a perfect film, honestly. But even with the imperfections, it's a perfect film. But if I have to give, and being honest about it, I have to give this film a final score. In my book, it's a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I think, again, it's a film that sets a foundation for the X-Men. It resets the Hulk once again. And definitely calms even some of the people who think that superhero stories are dead, that people don't care about superheroes. And the reality is that people care about superheroes, the superhero films. They're not dead. They just, people are looking for the right films, the right stories that actually convey the message that people want to hear, they want to watch, they want to experience. And I feel that this film nails it on all those areas. But what is your opinion, my friends? What do you think about the film? Do you have an opportunity to watch it? You're still waiting to watch it. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button to reminder of the next video. Follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description. And please consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless, take care, and I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.